Yeah? I'd said this once at a lecture in Auburn. I said, look, I have 4 wives. Does anybody have a problem with that? And one of the young brothers at the front goes, no, good on you. Right, like that. On ya. You know, he wants some tips off me. But before I talk about my 4 wives, I want to talk about another man's 4 wives. Okay? Sisters up there getting angry. I can feel it, right? Let me talk about another person's 4 wives. And don't walk out, sisters. Just bear with me, right? A man had 4 wives. And with his 4th wife, he was particularly crazy about her, in absolute love about her. He would spare no expense with her. The best clothes, the best forms of transportation, the best house, the best delicacies in terms of food. He would spare no expense whatsoever with her. But he was always afraid that she was going to disappear on him. He was always worried about that. With regards to his 3rd wife, he would always show her off. Look at my 3rd wife. Look at my 3rd wife. Look how great she is. Right? Look how great she is. What do you think the value of my 3rd wife is? Isn't she wondrous? Always showing her off. But you know what he was afraid of with regards to his 3rd wife? He was afraid that she would leave him for somebody else. He was always conscious of this, that she may leave him for somebody else. But after the 4th wife, he would spend most attention on his 3rd wife. Conscious of his 3rd wife. As to his 2nd wife, they were his confidant. He could go to her, his 2nd wife, anytime he was in trouble. And regardless of what problem he had, he knew that she would be there for him. Regardless of what problem he had. He needed support, the 2nd wife was the one he would go to. Without fail. As for his 1st wife, he hardly spent any time with her. He never paid attention to her. In fact, he pretty much forgotten that she even existed. He would never look after her. He would never pay attention to her. He would never show love to her. He never had any love for her. Unlike the 4th wife, unlike the 3rd wife. Right? But she was the most loyal to him. She would do everything for him. Suddenly, death is approaching this man. فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. When that appointed time of death, that decreed appointed time of death comes, you cannot delay it an iota, by an hour, but by an iota, nor can you bring it forward. So death is now coming to him. He has a terminal sickness. The experts have said you don't have much time to live, and he's now petrified. After a long life of living lavishly, he's now petrified. So who does he go to first? He goes to his 4th wife, because he spent all luxuries on her. He spared absolutely no expense for her. Best clothes, best cars, best house, everything, best food. And he says, look, I am dying, but I am so afraid. He said, will you come with me on this journey? Will you please come with me on this journey? He's on his moment of death. She says, what? No, absolutely not. Disappears. Just like that, just disappears. You can imagine how stricken this man is now. The state that he's in. He cannot believe what has happened. The key is, he cannot believe what has happened. So he calls for his 3rd wife, and he says to his 3rd wife, look, I was so proud of you. I would always show you to everybody. I would always, show you off. Right? I paid so much attention to you as well. I am afraid I'm about to die. Please, will you come with me on this journey? I don't want to go alone. And she says, no, I love this world too much. And you know what she does? She runs off with another man. So you can imagine the pit that this man is now falling into. That pit of darkness. So he goes to the wife that has always been there for him. She's always been there for him. She's never let him down regardless of the problem. So he rushes to her. And he says, look, I have a problem. You've never let me down. So he calls for her. I have a problem. You've never let me down. Please, I'm on the brink of death. The veils are being lifted. Right? The veils are being lifted as they were for Fir'aun. Will you please come with me? I'm terrified. And she says, look, I cannot. The best that I can do in this situation to show my support. She doesn't disappear. She doesn't run off with anybody else. She says, I cannot come with you on this journey. The best I can do is come to the grave, and then when we've paid our respects at the grave, I have to leave you. I can't go beyond that. And now he's in utter darkness. He's in a state of complete destitute, and he's lost all hope. Suddenly he hears a very, very weak voice. And that voice says, I will come with you, my love. And he looks up and he sees before him his first wife. Frail, withered, completely weak, devoid of any strength. And then she says, for I will go with you anywhere. And he says, woe unto me. All this time I had, and I spent no time, showed no love, did not look after my first wife. You see, brothers and sisters, in particular brothers this story is addressed to, we all have 4 wives. As for our 4th wife, it is our desires and our ego. If you address that in this world, feed it the best of clothes, give it the best house, give it the best transportation, give it the best delicacies. Isn't that what we do? Our ego, our desires, our passions want it, and we feed it everything. What happens to that ego? What happens to the nafs when you're dead? What happens to the bodily element of the human being? Gone. As for the 3rd wife, it is our wealth. We show it off to everybody. We want to gain more and more wealth in order to gain give a better impression on people of who we are, show power, show prestige. What happens when we die? It goes to somebody else. Doesn't it? It just goes to somebody else. As for our 2nd wife, it is our family and closest friends. It is our family and closest friends, and even though they're there for us all the time, can they go beyond death with us? Can they take that journey with us? The best they can do is come to the grave after they've paid their respects. After they've paid their respects, even the one that is closest to you in this world, your mother, eventually you will hear her footsteps departing. She's not going to camp at the gravesite with you. Our first wife, which is our spiritual reality, is what we should be nurturing and looking after and strengthening, because that is what comes with us to the next realm of existence. And the better, the more stronger, the more powerful our spiritual state, the better we can take that next journey. Right? That's what it all boils down to. Never forget that reality within you, which is that spiritual reality. Never ever forget it. We need to look after and nurture it. And there are certain things that we will do in this world, in the dunya, that will affect its growth and its potentiality to reach great heights. And one of the worst things that we can do is enter a state of arrogance and pride in this world. Because arrogance and pride strengthens your ego and strengthens that 4th wife, but it diminishes the power, the state of the first wife. That soul, your spiritual essence. That we walk on the earth with arrogance and pride. And even the religious, and I say that in brackets, amongst us,